In this video I'm going to show you how to silicon seal up the rear brake light in a Dragon GTR. Purpose of this is to prevent water ingress underneath the guard when water splashes up from a wet path. This is not to protect against full-on rain. So anyway, there's 4 hex nuts holding the guard on, so we've got to remove those. They hold both the bracket and the guard. So as you can see, you'll need a fairly long drive because the bracket's in the way there. So anyway, we'll remove those 4. Yep, so I've already removed the top plate, the footrest, the so-called footrest. And I'll show you how to put it back on at the end of the video. It's pretty straightforward. Anyone can work that out. And this, for that matter too, is pretty straightforward, but some people might appreciate a walkthrough. And it's not so much a disassembly as looking at the sealing part, which we'll get to once we get it off. So the reason I'm doing all this is that when you do take it in on a wet path and water splashes up, it gets through the contacts up underneath the brake light and shorts it out. So you're left with a situation where when a scooter's on, but you don't have the lights on and you're not operating the brake, nevertheless the light will be on. So whenever the scooter's on, the light will be on, which indicates a short. And it dries out eventually without any dramas, but the problem is, I don't know, I wouldn't want to charge it while it was in that condition, so I always let it dry out before I recharge. And also I worry about it getting damaged in the long term, maybe damaging the controller or something. So what I'm going to do is just seal it up with silicone, and you'll see when I get the guard off how exposed it is. Okay, so that's all the nuts released, the bolts. So make sure you've got all your bits, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 2 brackets, don't lose any. And here's the underside of the guard. Pretty dirty with mud, so you can see how much water gets splashed up there. And you can see how exposed those are. There is sealant on there, but they haven't really done that great a job at it. They haven't really fully sealed where the wires enter into the brake. So anyway, these are the parts I used. You've got your marine sealant there, a brush to clean out the mud, and you'll need a hex drive and a Phillips head screwdriver. I can't remember the size hex drive, but you can work that out by just trying it. It's the same size as one that's in the kit that comes with the GTR, but the one in the kit isn't long enough to reach down between the bracket and the guard. So you do need to buy an extension with the correct size hex nut, hex drive. Yeah, so what I'm saying there is that bottom piece is completely sealed apart from the 2 bits where it's got silicone. So I'm going to seal up those areas from above. You could probably do with a bit of sealing from there too, but that's for rain coming from down above. I'm not too worried about that, at least not at the moment. We'll just get this part sealed up. I don't think I need to do that side, just the that side there. I probably will do that at some point, but not for now. We'll just deal with the bottom. Okay, so let's get to it. So this is marine grade silicon sealant. So it's fine. You can apply it wet even, and it's designed for water and even saltwater application and so forth. So it's the stuff. It's the quality stuff. It'll do the job. Yeah. So what I'm just going to do is splash that all around there and then smooth it out and let it dry, and it should be good. It's also not conductive, so it won't create any problems even if any of it does get into the exposed parts of the wires. Probably won't, but even if it did, the actual metal is not going to cause any short circuits or anything like that. So if you do use a silicon sealant, make sure you don't get one that's intentionally electrically conductive. You can use a wet rag to wipe away excess because um, it's water will tend. It's fairly reasonably solvent in water. It, not enough that you can't apply it wet, but just enough that you can use it to clear up the surface. And wash your hands afterwards so you don't end up with no fingerprints. Okay, now the back clip there, I'm not sure why that's there. It's just another clip to hold in the brake lens. I'm not even sure if that was leaking there, if water was getting in through there, but it could have been, so it doesn't hurt to splash some silicone on there. So that's pretty much that done. I think those two screws are pretty tight in there, so I didn't bother putting any silicone around there, but I could do that at some point. I'll see how it goes. But I think that'll sort the problem out. There you have it. Now I put this one on first, but as it transpires, the one on the other side needs to go first because it's got the wire underneath it. And it won't fit if the other one's bolted down. If this one I'm doing now, when that's bolted down, you can't fit the bracket on the other side. So that's where you need to be able to lift that right up to get the bracket in, because the cable's in the way, and then you have to make sure you're not pinching the cable as well. Okay, well I'll speed things along here, put it in fast forward. So fitting the back footrest is pretty straightforward. 4 hex bolts and 4 Phillips head screws. It's not a load bearing footrest. You can barely really even call it a footrest. In fact, the later GTR V2 2022 version has a much sturdier footrest than that. But you still want to do it up nice and firm and tight. And you can use that handle for lifting the rear cylinder. You can use that to the rear bar. You can use that to lift the scooter. It does make it easier to manhandle the scooter around. Otherwise, I might not have put it back on at all. And last but not least, see how the cable for the back light is kind of rubbing against the spring there. It'd probably be fine, but I thought just to be on the safe side, I'd clip it back with a cable tie out of the way. And that's it.